Is Lazzari. Immobile! Classic Ciro Immobile, who scores his 100th Lazio goal in some style.
The Calcio Guys is a weekly podcast by Adreano, Gianni Dellacoli, and myself, Nicholas Di Giovanni. We want to bring Calcio back to its roots in our communities and share stories from around the world about why we're passionate about the beautiful game. You can listen to us anywhere where you listen to your podcasts, including Spreaker, Google Podcasts, iTunes, Spotify, iHeart Radio, and Mixcloud. Give us your opinion on social media at The Calcio Guys on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. The intro song is Fireworks by Jahzzar. We are back, baby. We're back even before the Serie A with Adriano Donardo. Oh my God, it feels so good to do this with Adriano Donardo, and he's back, Gianni Dellacoli. Guys, we are in our separate homes. No CGLO, no getting together here. How have you guys been doing?
Oh my God, I've been going crazy, man. It's so good to be back doing this Calcio Guys podcast, man. Like, it's been way too long. The Serie A is coming back. We're back. Gianni's back. Everything's back to normal, and well, not everything, but slowly, I think everything will be back to normal. And no, honestly, it's great to be back with the boys and getting this podcast out to everybody.
Gianni, what have you been up to the past 3 months?
Basically, the banks have still been open, so I had to work during the week at the banks, making sure that people understand that you can do whatever banking you want online, but some people are just too afraid to do that. And besides that, I've been brushing up on my French for the French University in the fall.
Beautiful.
That's good, Gianni. Yes. Proud of you.
Yeah. Thank you. How about you, Nico?
What have I been doing? Working from home, watching a couple of old soccer games, hockey games, building Legos. This weekend I built a deck with my dad, so that was that. We're not finished yet, though. It takes... fair warning, if you want to build a deck, it's going to take over a weekend, especially if you're just two people.
That's such a dad thing to do. Let's go build a deck.
Me and my boy building a deck.
Weekend plans.
Let's go to Home Depot. I'm going to build a deck.
But in 2 weeks, no more building decks. In 2 weeks, building some passion again. Between the last Serie A game between Sassuolo and Brescia on March the 9th, and the next one between Torino and Parma on June 20th, it's 103 days between those games. That's just in the same season. Last season, when the Serie A had its off season between May 26th and August 24th, it was just under 3 months. So this is longer than an off season. It's going to be tough for the players. They're going to have to get back in rhythm. No preseason games. We have a bunch of questions coming up. A couple of them involve that. But Adriano, just looking at the schedule, 124 games in 43 days. Can you put into words how excited you are?
Well, I think not only for myself, but just, Calcio fans, across the globe, I think are just pure excited. Pure excitement comes to mind when you say 124 Calcio matches in 43 days. Something that, I don't think I've ever seen before, and I don't know if we'll ever see it again. But it's just crazy that, we finally can say that, Calcio is back, Serie A is back, and after, what everybody's gone through. So, I hope everybody's excited. I mean, this is a long wait. It's a long overdue wait for all fans. So, I think excitement is the first word that comes to my mind, and I'm pretty sure everybody's mind as well.
Gianni,
sorry, because I had to step away from the computer for a bit because I just had a little situation. But so the question's about basically what do I feel about?
The 124 games in 43 days.
Well, I just hope that the players are going to be healthy at the end of all this. I'm concerned that the short time span of games is going to probably cause some injuries for teams that are trying to push into a top spot finish, because they're going to obviously want to play their best players to get the best results. But it's a bit scary because you can threaten a lot of injuries with that kind of pressure.
So nothing's been announced yet. It's weird. Nothing's been announced officially for the Coppa Italia, but we know that the Serie A is back on June 20th. So, in my mind, I'm thinking, June 13th is the Coppa Italia. We got 2 games that weekend. I completely forgot about the Coppa. We got Juve, Milan, Inter, Napoli. I'll be a bit disappointed if that doesn't happen, because then I'm gonna have to wait we're all gonna have to wait another week. But after waiting so long, I guess we could wait those extra 7 days. We have a lot of questions coming in from our social media. And you know what we always do in this podcast? We do our yellow card, red cards. I don't know. Do you guys want to do those now and then get to the questions, or get to the questions first and then do the cards?
I say let's do the cards, get all that stuff out of there, and then dedicate the end of the podcast to all our great fan questions.
I agree with Adriano on that 100%.
Okay, who wants to take away our first card? The return of the cards.
I guess I'll... actually, you know what? Yeah, I'll start. Fuck it. Why not? I mean, screw it. Why not?
Gianni.
First F-bomb coming
it's
back.
Our podcast.
We're allowed.
We can swear.
We're allowed, Gianni.
Well, one thing that it's been an issue throughout this past season, not just recently, but this past season and seasons before, and it's going to continuously be an issue, is how the Serie A handles racism or even any type of discrimination in its leagues. I think that wasn't too happy that not many teams stepped up and actually made a statement. If they have, I missed it, but I didn't see much representation from the league itself or from the teams themselves to make a comment about it, especially that a lot of teams employ many players of different skin colors, religions, and whatnot. So, I mean, I was very proud Roma did something, but even at that, it's something that I think the league needs to come together and actually address it, or else it's always going to be a problem in Italy.
Yeah, I mean, can we expect much from a league that tried to combat racism by drawing paintings of monkeys?
Paintings.
So.
Yeah, no, that's true, but just
unbelievable.
You always hope for the best from your own people. That's the problem. So,
Adri, did Milan come out with a statement?
To be honest with you, I don't know. Off the top of my head, I thought they did, but maybe they didn't. Like Gianni said, maybe I didn't miss it. I didn't really pay attention. I believe they did, though. I believe they did make a statement about that they don't obviously condone any sort of racist stuff or things like that. So I think they did. But what I did like to see is the clubs finally coming back to training and kind of taking a knee together as a team and kind of coming together. We saw that with Roma, we saw that with Torino, and I think some other clubs as well across Europe. So on the bright side, I think that was a positive thing. But like Gianni said, I think the league as a whole should come together. And this issue is not just today; it's been in the past and maybe even tomorrow too. So it's something that really needs to be solved.
So I just checked. Checked Juve's Twitter, and all they did was they quote tweeted Giorgio Chiellini's post. All they said was "United against racism and discrimination," and there's a link there, and you open the link, and it's a PDF document from UNESCO titled "Color, What Color? Report on the Fight Against Discrimination and Racism in Football." Sure, I guess if that's what they want to do, I guess it's better than nothing. So, Gianni, I guess that's a red card from you?
Yeah, that's a red card for me.
It's going to go to the pocket and get out the red. It's a red card.
Adri?
Yeah, so for me, I'm gonna step away from a sensitive topic like that. I'm gonna give a yellow card. Obviously, when we do these cards, there's kind of a lot more action going on, and we have certain games or certain moments in matches that we like to poke fun at, or we like to pinpoint as a yellow card or red card. But something that I kind of caught my eye. I'm not gonna give a red card. I'll give a yellow. Is Gasparini's comments on the whole 5 subs. When games do come back, that teams are going to be allowed to have 5 subs rather than the normal 3. I think he was kind of against that, and he was kind of like saying that it kind of ruins ruins the game or ruins the spectacle, however he had put it. And yes, we've praised Gasparini many times on this show, and I think a lot of people have just with the job he's done at Atalanta. But a comment like that for me. I don't know. It kind of doesn't. It makes me shake my head and kind of makes me think. It's like, is this guy serious? Like, you don't want 5 subs? These guys are gonna croak. They haven't had any, real training to go back into these games, and I don't know if they're gonna, be fully fit. As much as they are professional athletes, they might not be as fit as they were, coming on to the beginning of the season. So a comment like that for me, I'm gonna give a small yellow card to that, just because. To me, I think the 5 subs makes some sense, and rather than just having just the 3. And I think we were talking about a bit on our chat before coming on, and I think it was you, Nick, that pointed out that somebody had tweeted that he might not even have 5 subs to bring on with his low depth of a squad. But maybe that's it. I don't know. But for me right now, with those comments, the way everything looks right now, I'm going to give a small yellow card to Gasparini's comments.
This is definitely going to be another yellow.
So I'm going to stick with that man Gasparini instead of giving him a second yellow. I'm giving him a straight red. So no matter what was going to happen, he was going to get kicked out of today's episode. He,
Absolutely.
I think it was like last week. He said he traveled to Valencia for their Champions League game on March 10th. Feeling the COVID symptoms. And, at this point, all of Europe knew what COVID was. Italy was in lockdown. The game was played behind closed doors. It was one of the last soccer games we got to see. And he comes out saying he had the symptoms, he was feeling it, and, it's almost sickening to hear that. It's so sad, The first thing we were told across the world when this came out, when the pandemic started, if you feel sick, stay home. These are the symptoms: cough, fever. I don't know if headache, but stay home. And this guy traveled to another country. He could have infected his own players. Already the situation was bad in Bergamo. He could have infected his own players, Valencia's, people in Valencia, and then for him to actually say it. That's something where you keep to yourself. You don't say that to the public. For him, it's almost as if it's a joke. Even now, Valencia is asking UEFA to intervene and I guess sanction him or something. But my God, just terrible thing to do on his part.
This is going to be a red card, and is that going to change the course of the game?
Okay, so now the question period. Okay, actually, before getting to our fans' questions, I wanted to ask you guys something. Or rather, I know you guys can't hear a clip, but I'm going to play a clip of from earlier in the season. I think it was either August or September, where Adreano, you were really excited about Mario Balotelli coming back. You guys won't hear it, but I'm going to play it regardless. Mario Balotelli back in Italy, back in his hometown of Brescia.
Beautiful.
Just how excited are you about this?
Super excited. I mean, I think everybody.
Super as in Super Mario.
Super as in Super Mario. I think it's good for the league. It's good for him. I hope he get his mind on track with his hometown club in Brescia. His parents are excited, crying, whatever, this and that. So I mean, I think it's good for the league. I think he'll score a lot of goals, which we know he can do. And I don't know if it's on a limb, but I'm hoping that he could get back into the Nazionale too.
Nothing bad to say about this Balotelli transfer. It's a free transfer, great for Brescia. It's a big name coming back to Serie A. All he brings is excitement. He brings personality. He brings highlights. He brings entertainment. The guy himself will bring in more fans.
So we had a lot of positive words for Balotelli back at the beginning of the season. I think at this point he hasn't even reported back to Brescia Trading. The owner Cellino saying he lost a bet taking the risk on Balotelli to coming home to Brescia, and it's a bet he lost. What do you guys think about this Balotelli situation? Do you think he's gonna play again in the Serie A? John, you.
Yes. You cannot deny the talent that Balotelli brings to the table. I think that it sucks because it always takes the right manager to control him, and it always takes the right manager to squeeze out the best from him. Because the guy has got so much potential, but yes, he is a bit of a hard player to manage. He's like another Cassano. When you got the best out of Cassano, you got a phenomenal player, and then when you weren't able to manage Cassano, you got a very, for lack of a better term, terrible player on the pitch. Balotelli, it seemed like he was in it at the beginning, and I think ever since that racist situation that he had with which team was it?
Verona.
I think that's when things started to go downhill, and not to mention Brescia themselves weren't able to pull it together. Which was very unfortunate because we all had high hopes for them at the beginning of the season. They didn't seem like a terrible core. You figured maybe the bottom half of the table, but not in the last place. But somebody dropped the ball there. Balotelli is to be blamed for it, but I don't think it's going to hurt his future career in Serie A if he has one.
Yeah, I would have to agree with with what Gianni's saying. I think maybe the situation wasn't the best, but I do think we had high hopes for Balotelli coming back to Italy. I think he was kind of abroad for a bit too long to our liking, and seeing him come back home was just a moment of maybe this is the move that. Not gonna say it's gonna resurrect his whole career because he's not getting any younger either, but. Maybe just a move to shift his mentality, in the right spot. And unfortunately, it doesn't seem like that might be the case after all the reports of him, not coming to training and missing training, and just he's been in the news a bit as of late. But I think. Does he have still some fighting him to stay in Serie A? I would hope so because I think like Gianni said, he does have that talent. He just needs the right situations around him maybe to to flourish. But I guess I don't know. Maybe if it's not in Serie A, I hope it's still in one of the top 5 leagues because I do think he deserves. To be in a top 5 league. I know I've been hearing a lot of maybe the MLS stuff. I don't think that would be the best route for him just as yet. But listen, if he does want to come to MLS, he's always welcome here in Montreal. I can guarantee you that.
Yeah.
No, I just think if you were to leave Brescia, which is again, I'm going to say it again, it is sad and it is it does suck to see. But if it's not in Italy, I hope it's still in the top 5 league because I think he still has. Something left, to give for a club of high value.
I would love to see him in Montreal. I would love to see him come to the MLS. Just play with a lot less pressure. I think that's the problem. There's just a lot of pressure on him to perform and to get back to his form from the early part of the 10s when he was with Man City and playing for the national team. I think maybe the pressure is getting to him, but. Yeah, it's like so. I read about it. So he didn't attend the online video chats during the lockdown, and when the team returned, he needed individual sessions to get back in shape instead of training with the team again. Okay, so let's do our questions. We got quite a few questions. So some of them are maybe directed more for Gianni. Some of them are more for Adreano. So if there is one that's really for either of you, we'll just answer one of us, but a lot of these we could have a discussion. I like the first question. This one comes from Milan Obsession on Twitter, but it doesn't have anything to do with Milan. It's more about the whole league. So He wrote, after Italy, the FIGC and Serie A fumbled the lockdown of Serie A in every possible way, then spent weeks arguing over the restart. Milan, Juve, and Inter argued about the Coppa Italia. Can anything ever just happen in Italy? I don't think so. I love that, but I don't think anything just ever happens. You look at every other league across the world, the way they handled the lockdown, it was, okay, we're shutting down. There was no debates. And then Italy, behind closed doors, maybe not. Maybe we'll allow fans. Oh no, never mind. Okay, wait. Let's play the last few games, and then we'll put the country on lockdown.
Yeah, I think. Well, first off, thank you for everybody's question. But this question, it really poses a funny question, just because. Does anything ever happen in Italy? I think if anybody comes from Italian family or Italian descent or just loves the Serie A, I think they would know that this league, it's always that laid back mentality. It's always last to the party kind of thing. If they were like the Premier League in terms, or other leagues that are more on top of things, we wouldn't be having this discussion today. I just think it sucks to see, because we want certain things to be done properly or accordingly, or on time. But when then you look back and it's like, oh well, it's Italy. Oh well, it's the Serie A. We kind of just always fall back on those excuses. But yeah, I mean, I would hope for some change in the future. But as of right now, I think you can just put your hands on your head and say that's Italy.
Italy's always been a country that's always been very divided. It's always been a country with many different opinions and views on many different things, especially when you go geographically north or south. There's always a different viewpoint on certain topics. So for me, it doesn't surprise me that there was a big commotion about how they should handle the lockdown, and it doesn't surprise me that the ball at the beginning, even throughout the midpoint of it, was figuratively dropped. I just think, honestly, behind closed doors would have been better for the players. I don't know if it still is. I think it still is. If there was something weird I read up that they want to do like 6,000 fans or something limit or something. Honestly, I just think they should just. Look, it's either you want to play the league or not. If yes, behind closed doors. That's it. That's all. And I think if the only arguments that should come up is finances, but I think the bigger clubs themselves should help support the younger clubs, at least. If that's not much of a worry, they need to be united instead of divided. That's just whatever.
Yeah, no way sure. Juve's helping Brescia.
No, I get that, but I mean. If that's what the side of the arguments were, it's like, it's either you keep your league alive and healthy, or you guys don't have a league to play in. It's
absolutely, yeah.
So, the next one from Alex Donno, our Inter friend. Gianni, I think you'll be able to answer this one more. He asked us, should Inter bring back Nainggolan? I know you were a huge Nainggolan fan at Roma. You went to Inter, went to Cagliari. Do you think he should go back to Inter?
Not that it's anything against Inter. I don't think he should go back to Inter, because Nainggolan's not going to give his 100% to Inter. No matter how much they get him for, even if it's a free transfer, his heart's not going to be in it, and they won't get the best ninja, the best version of him. I read up somewhere that if he's going to leave Cagliari, he's going to go back to Roma, because he says he loves playing for Roma. And you know what? I'd be happy to welcome him back in open arms. But if Inter gets Nainggolan, it's going to be the same Nainggolan as before, where he just even though the alleged locker room situation has been cleared, it's still not going to change his motivation to give his best. I don't think it's a good idea, but if it happens, good for Inter. I don't think it's a good idea.
Adrian,
I would know, honestly, if I could just go quickly, I would probably agree, to be honest with you, too. I think his heart is destined for Rome. I think, he probably played his best soccer there as well in these past couple of years. So, it just, I don't know. I just think if he were to leave Cagliari, because I think he was doing a good job over there as well, I think Roma would be his best bet. But then again, I don't know, anything is possible. But I just think even if he were to go back to Inter, I just don't think he would be in Conte's plans or his tactics going forward. So if anything, I don't even see him having that chance to go back there if everything is the way it is right now at Inter with Conte running the show and everybody already in that midfield. And I still think they have a packed midfield, but I mean, we were talking to me and Nika, we were talking to Alex and Jerry on the Calcio Connection podcast a couple of days ago, and Alex was saying that their midfield looks more it looks like they have more depth than they actually do, and I don't know. I still think that if Ninja would go there, I just don't see him in the plans. So I would say Cagliari, Roma, or maybe even abroad.
Yeah, I definitely don't see him going back to Inter. Roma, I don't know. I know they have some tough financial situation right now.
But I think he's putting his wife first.
Yeah.
I think he's putting his wife first.
Go to Lazio then. You do go to Lazio as a bench player.
You would never.
Isn't his wife from Cagliari?
Yeah.
That's why he went?
Yeah, that's why they went originally.
Back home.
Yeah, then there'd be no other reason for him to leave. He's doing it for his wife. So
for sure.
Anyways.
Go to Lazio. That would be funny to see.
God.
That would make that midfield that much better.
Oh my God!
I think that's the chances of him going to Lazio are way lower than him going to Inter.
Very true.
Oh wow!
Very true. Okay, we had two questions that are kind of similar. One from Alex, and then my favorite name on Insta. It's always going to be my favorite name, Pizza Calcio. Just
Pizza Calcio, baby! Shout out.
Just saying that word, you just think of so many good things.
I swear, the two favorite things in life, man. I swear to God.
just add in pasta in the middle.
That's it.
What? So he asked, what teams and players do you think the situation with the long layoff, playing 2 times a week, will help, and who will it hurt? He also wrote, who's coming back fat? So maybe that's a little nod to his pizza love.
Fandom.
But Alex kind of wrote a similar question. Does playing three games every 3 days put Lazio at a disadvantage compared to Juve because of squad depth? I mean, look, I think everyone's in the same boat. Obviously, teams with more depth are going to benefit a lot more. That's why I think, Atalanta is going to struggle a bit, and maybe Lazio. But the thing about Lazio, their guys, like Milinkovic-Savic, I feel like he could run a marathon and not break a sweat. They're guys who put their heart on the pitch. They play with a lot of fire, and I feel like with 12 games left, they know what's at hand. And obviously, the 5 subs is definitely gonna help them. They have some decent depth, particularly in midfield a bit at attack too. I don't know if there's anybody who's really gonna hurt, because everybody is dealt the same card. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think like we've said many times, and just what the facts are. I think like Nick, you said, I think everybody is in the same boat. Everybody has been played the same cards. Now it's how do you play those cards that were given to you. So, of course, teams like you did say that have a bit more depth, are going to benefit this. A la Juve's, I think they have, even though, sometimes they get that flack, I still think they have guys who can come off the bench and make an impact. I just think this pause might hurt, the teams that were on a good, run of form before this whole pause, and like the Lazios of the world. I think they were so hot to come to a sudden halt, and especially with them being fighting for the Scudetto hard this year, I think it could hurt them a bit. But then again, I think most players will probably be rusty coming back after this long break. We're not going to be seeing the same high intensity culture that we were used to seeing before this whole pause. So I think I would probably agree with you that I don't think it would hurt per se anybody like drastically. Maybe the teams, like I said, that were on a bit of a high, like the Lazios, maybe even like the Atalantas as well. But I think everybody is in the same boat, and it's not, it's kind of how you come out of this whole pandemic, after all this lockdown, how you play your cards, and hopefully, the teams up there play it right.
If we're going to use card playing as an example, let's use Texas Hold'em, whereas Lazio got dealt a pair of sevens and Juve has a pair of queens face down, right? Juve is at an advantage in terms of quality, but Lazio's still in the position to win if they bluff or play their cards right. So,
absolutely.
So I think Lazio knows that, okay, guys, we have no excuses. All our players are rested. It is a tough schedule because it's going to be a bunch of games in a short span. But if we want this championship, we're going to have to push for it. And we're going to have to fight for it. And they don't have the depth that Juve has. They still have good depth, but it's not as obviously as quality as Juve. But for them, it's up to them. They do have a bit of a disadvantage, but it's not as much as people think it is.
Yeah,
it's a very winnable championship for them.
And another thing that teams are going to have to deal with, summer is very hot in Italy, and you look at the start times for all the games. The earliest time is, I think, 5:15. Those are the earliest games, over this next stretch. And then you have a lot of games at 7:30 Italian time. Yeah, it's 1:30 here, and then the night games. The night games, instead of being at 8:45 Italian time, which is already late enough, it's at 9:45. It's at 9:45. Yeah. It's gonna finish. It's gonna finish almost the next day.
Yeah, it's gonna be crazy to think, but I think they kind of have no choice. Like you said, the heat is pretty drastic, and I think hopefully they hope that the later that they play, the cooler it'll be for the players. So I think they're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place.
Another question from Pizza Calcio: What games are you most excited for? Gianni, I know you have two teams. Did you look at their calendars yet? Are there any intriguing games?
Yeah, and it's not from either one of my teams actually. It's gonna be for the Lazio Juve game on July 20th.
Yeah.
Because that's the game that could potentially decide the Scudetto right there and then, because it's game number 34 and it's the top two teams, and that one determines who's going to win it. So that's the one that I as a neutral I will watch, because I know I don't like both teams. But to be fair, Nicholas, I love you so much, but I really hope Lazio beats Juve. But that's definitely a game. That's a game that I'm actually gonna stop and watch just to see who's gonna win it.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I hope that's on the weekend. It's on a Monday.
Is it on
July 7th?
Wait,
no.
if
July 20th.
If the 20th. Oh, yeah. There's a lot of weekday games. There's a lot. But it's okay.
Yeah, it's a Monday. Monday at 3:45.
Yeah, that's okay.
When there's a will, there's a way. To watch these games, I'll say it now. I've said it before, but I just hope for I would absolutely agree with both of you guys. That game is so crucial, especially this season that there is such a close title race. So we love to see it as fans, just as even just neutral fans of the league. You love to see it. Unlike some other leagues that their top dog is like 30 points ahead. So I just hope for Milan's sake we can somehow get out of July alive. We got a whole shitload of games that are tough contests. We got the Juves, the Napolis, the Lazios, the Atalantas. You got a good stretch of hard games. I just hope they can get out alive with all their limbs attached, and hopefully make some fans happy again. But you have to continue praying every night. But I would agree with you guys 100% with the Lazio Juve.
So Juve, between July 4th and July 20th, they play Torino, Milan, Atalanta, Sassuolo, and Lazio. So 4 to 5 games there are pretty important. It's going to be a tough stretch, but it's going to be fun. Honestly, just talking about this, I'm so excited. I know the first weekend back, it's only 4 games, but the good thing is that we don't have to wait a whole week. I think it's games on Sunday, Monday, and then Juve plays on the Tuesday. I think Juve plays. Oh no, sorry, Juve plays the 22nd. So games on Saturday, Sunday, and then Juve, or rather, the next match day starts on the Monday. So if you look at the schedule, I think only like Thursdays are open, and it's gonna be so much fun. Okay, next question. See what we got here. Oh, Gianni, from your friend Dominic DeFazio. How will transfer rumors? How will transfer rumors affect a player's motivation? And he gave examples like Lautaro and Pjanic.
Transfer rumors, I don't know. It depends on the player themselves, because a lot of players react differently to transfer rumors. Some of them take it negatively, some of them take it positively, and I don't know these players personally to make a call on it. In terms of Pjanic, I think he would just wave them off because he has success in Juve, and he knows he's a valuable player. So if Juve is willing to get rid of him, it's because of he's going to probably go to a team that values him as well. Lautaro Martinez is a player. That's what we're talking about here. Lautaro Martinez, right? Yeah. He's a player that's on the rise. I think he would use it as motivation because he's somebody who wants to get his name more known out there. I think he would take it positively as well. I don't know. It's weird. It's a weird call to make because it depends on the person himself. Like, I could say for myself, if I was a star player or a good soccer player and I hear transfer rumors about me, I would ignore it because I don't need to focus on that because I need to worry about what's going to be happening to me on the pitch. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
I need to worry about my play on the pitch. And I think these players are like that too. At the end of the day, they're like, okay, well, whatever happens outside of the field is out of my control. Right now, I can only control what I'm playing now. But if they're a player who's secretly unhappy with the team that he's with, he's going to use that as motivation to be like, okay, let me pump up my value so I can get out of here as soon as possible.
Yeah, that's very, very, very well said. I think I just hope, like you said, I think both of them will take it. They won't really be thinking about it. It's what happens on the pitch that really counts. But you hope to see that a young player like Lautaro Martinez does can't shun it out and doesn't make him affect him, because if he looks at the beginning of the season, he had so far a hell of a start of the season. Him and Lukaku, like we've mentioned time and time again, have been just great up top. So I think it's in their best interest, both those players in particular, to kind of block out the noise and just focus about what they have in front of them and everything on the pitch. So I think it would be in their best interest to do that.
You know what? Obviously, it's different this year because we're used to, transfer period now, but now, we got the games. But at the end of the day, they're still gonna have to fulfill their contracts until whatever the new date for the contract is set. So it's nothing different than what they normally go through. I think the transfer window is going to be in September, October this year. So I think for them it's nothing different. They're here to play out the season with their teams. That's that. Okay, here's a question that I know we've talked about before, but it comes from our friend Joseph from Calcio Fan Blogs. Who's better, Federico Chiesa or Riccardo Orsolini?
He knows he knows how to push Johnny's buttons, I guess.
I'll just you guys. Good thing you guys are away. Good thing Adreano's in the West Island and Gianni here all the way in Saint Michel, because I know who which side you guys are taking, and we don't want any theatrics here.
Go ahead, Gianni. Take it away. What do you think?
I'm always a Federico Chiesa fanboy. I
lied then.
I think he has. He brings a different element to his game. He's got a lot of technical skills that we rarely see in Italian players. And I'm not talking about the simple Insigne run in from the left side, cuts right and shoots with his right foot, type of technical skill. I mean, like, he actually tries to get creative, and that's something that is, I don't want to say it's anti-Italian, but it's so rare to see a player do that. And I think it's refreshing to see that, and we need to have an element like that. It's because it gives us an extra weapon. So for me, like, he's not a standard right wing type of player. So that's why I love him so much, because he can do much more. And I know we had this discussion many times with like Chiesa versus Bernardeschi. And then recently Orsolini has been, okay, Chiesa himself recently has been playing his best form. Orsolini has been performing better. Yeah. But I think over the longevity of their careers, I think Chiesa would be the better choice.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's a tough call to think. I think
I'm not
it's
saying
always a good call.
Orsolini's bad, by the way. I'm just not saying.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. I think it's always a good issue to have when you got some bright talent at a certain position. I just think like Gianni, like you mentioned, I just think that Chiesa. He knows he has the talent. We all know he has the talent. I think the consistency is going to have to, come, more into focus with his play. He has the ability, I think, to really take on a team, put them on their shoulders and go forward. I just think he needs to do that consistently. Obviously, he's still young, 22 years old. He's younger than everybody on this podcast tonight. So I just think, like you also mentioned, Orsolini just kind of not per se recently coming out on the scene. Obviously, we all knew he had talent. He finally found, I think, a bit of his feet at Bologna under Mihajlovic. They've been having a pretty good season over there. Himself, too, he's 23 years old, so, he's still young as well. I just think he kind of maybe flourished a bit later on in his career. I think Chiesa, we were already talking about him like maybe a season or two ago. Where we really thought that he can have a real impact, with Fiorentina and hopefully the Italian national team. But for me, it also goes down to that, being able to perform on the international stage with your country. I just hope that if it's not Chiesa, it's Orsolini. And if it's not Orsolini, it's going to be Chiesa that's going to take that step and really claim that, that right wing spot for the Azzurri going forward, because I think they both have the talent, and I think they both are able to carry that position.
So, by the way, they're very similar in stats this year. Orsolini, 7 goals, 5 assists, 3 yellow cards in 26 Serie A games, 1 goal in 2 Coppa Italia. Chiesa has 6 goals, 5 assists, 4 yellow cards in 23 games, 1 goal in 2 Coppa Italia. Orsolini born January 97, Chiesa born October 97. So, very similar. I'm a huge fan of Orsolini. I find he could elevate his teammates' play better than Chiesa, and I find he could carry Bologna on his back more than what Chiesa does for Fiorentina. Obviously, they are very, very good players, and we haven't had a competition between two players like in this way in a while, so it is good to see. And you know what? The Euro's being pushed back a year. It's going to benefit both of these guys, because it's going to give them a year to grow. Even if the Euros were this year, I would have chosen Orsolini over Chiesa if it came down to choosing one over the other. But I don't think Orsolini would have started or made any sort of impact. Giving these guys another year gives Chiesa another season to prove himself, gives Orsolini another season to prove himself, and they're going to be a year older. They're going to be 20. Well, Orsolini's going to be 24 by next summer. Chiesa's still going to be 23, so they're going to be right in that perfect age where it's their first tournament and they can come in and make an impact. So it's good to see, and they're two guys that I'm excited to see play again. Other questions, both Juve related, from Fabrizio from Genoa Club Toronto. First one, I'll just answer it off the top. It says, "What's missing for Juve to make an impact in Europe?" I mean, we've talked about this over and over. I think maybe it's a mentality issue, pressure from the fans, pressure from the media. Sometimes it's history of the club. It was Chiellini who said it about Tottenham 2 years ago. It's a history of the Tottenham. They're not good in European competitions, and even with Ronaldo, it's hard to judge just because they've only had one year with Ronaldo, and then they're still waiting for that second leg against Lyon. So it's hard to answer right now. I think a lot of it has to do with pressure. But the other question, this one's he even wrote it in when he messaged us. It's kind of a deep question, or kind of a far fetch. What happens to Juve after Ronaldo? I know it's probably a year or two away, but Juve after Ronaldo, I think is not going to be that much different. They're going to go out and buy another star player, and it's just going to be like Juve before Ronaldo winning Serie A and losing in Champions League.
I think if they can hold on to some key pieces on their squad already, besides Ronaldo, I think if they can manage to hold on to Bella post Ronaldo, I think would be in their benefit. I think as we've mentioned, time and time again, as everybody already knows, he's a fantastic player who can make an impact coming off the bench, who can start the game and take it by the horns and ride with it. But that's the thing. I still think they need to address their problems, now rather than later. Like Nick said, like if it's not going to be next year, maybe the year after. Who knows? Ronaldo is such a freak of nature. He just might play a couple more seasons after that. So it's still maybe in the future, but I still think that Juve should look into now. Obviously, another thing we've mentioned, time and time again, their midfield hasn't been anything to write home about. I think they still do need help over there. I think if they can put the pieces together accordingly and plan for the future, which I think we all know that they should at least, I think they'll be in a better state. But it's a tough question to answer for Fabrizio, but I think again, if they play their cards right, they'll get it, they'll hit a home run.
I think Juve, after Ronaldo, their stock is going to take a little bit of a hit because of the loss of a superstar. And also, you're going to lose a big market in terms of the casual fans that watch soccer. So that's less income in terms of jersey sales and whatnot, and less funding. But Juve is such a monster club that even without Ronaldo, they're still going to go. They're still going to find talent for cheap, and they're still going to develop great talent. So it's going to be a big step back for them, but it's not going to be a franchise breaking where they're going to be like, okay, let's demolish the field and rebuild. It's going to be like, no. It's going to be like, no, we already have young players to kind of try their best to be close to Ronaldo's level. And even with Ronaldo, we established before that Juve has a lot of issues that need to be addressed besides having a GOAT player like Ronaldo. It's about a lot of mentality on the team and whatnot. So it would affect them, not by much.
Yeah, I would agree.
Gianni, we had we had 3 questions all on our Instagram story. They were all the exact same questions. You want me to read it out to you?
Sure.
Okay, I'm done.
The
bots are back.
The bots
are back, baby. We'd love to see that.
The answer is yes.
Gianni, why would you say something so controversial?
I don't know, man. Honestly, sometimes
the
you got
question provoked him.
Yeah, sometimes, hey, controversy creates cash, right? So might as well be controversial.
That's it.
It's like that. What was it? That Eric Andre gif. Why would you say something so brave yet so controversial?
No, it was why would you say something so controversial yet so brave? It's one of my favorite gifs.
Yeah, if there's someone who knows his memes, it's definitely Gianni.
Yes.
Oh, absolutely. 100%.
I'm a loser who stays in his mom's basement, doesn't take a shower and just looks at her memes all day.
Gianni,
I'm not like that. Yeah.
I know you're not even in the basement, but I am. I am in the basement. That's where I stay.
Yes, but you're in the basement because you get your own room in the basement.
Yeah. Well, that's the whole point, no?
Yes, exactly.
I think we got another question. No, Six Side Calcio. Did you see that one?
Oh no, I didn't.
I did. Okay, they put it a bit later, but I'll read it off for you guys anyway, just to get their question in. It was kind of it was more than one question, but they write thoughts on Keane potentially joining Roma is one of them. Who should Juventus sign in their midfield is another, and what positions do Milan need to upgrade? So I think they try to hit all three of us in one post. So
that was very nice of them.
I guess Gianni. Yeah, Gianni. Yeah. I don't know if you wanna maybe take that Keane one away. I think it would be a positive to kind of relieve off the pressure off of Dzeko. I feel like they're always Roma seems to be too Dzeko dependent. I've said it time and time again. But for Keane to come to Roma, I think coming back to Italy, I think is a positive for him.
Yeah.
I hope so. But what do you think?
Well, it's gonna. I would be so happy because they already have a young project in Zaniolo that they're building the team around. So why not add another young Italian in Moise Kean? You can do so much with him. You can market him so much, and you can make it such a great project. And you develop great chemistry between those players, especially that one is a very, very, very offensive, supportive midfielder, and the other one's an actual striker. And who knows, that can transition very well to the national team. As we can tell, like when the national team sees success is when a lot of the players at least come from a same core group, so to speak. It's going to be only positive. And I mean, I don't mind if they sell players like Under to kind of get the financing for it, because at this point it's almost interchangeable. But if it were up to me, I'd rather develop local talent and showcase local talent rather than look elsewhere. I'm not saying that sometimes there's better players elsewhere. If they are, great, because it's all for the betterment of your club. But if you can get quality from a local player, especially somebody who should be showcased, I'm all for it. And if it happens, I'd be super happy.
Yeah, absolutely. Me too.
Yeah, I think he'd be a good fit in Rome. About the Ken situation, or do you want me to answer that Juve? Because I don't have really anything else. You know, I would like Ken to come back to Italy, and I think he'd be a good fit in Rome, especially if Dzeko isn't getting any younger. I mean, none of us are, right? But I think he'd be a good fit there. But okay, I'll answer that Juve question. Who should they buy for their midfield? I said it last week when we were guests on the Calcio Connection with Alex Dono, Jerry Mancini. Just simply Paul Pogba. I mean, he's a player. I think he played his best soccer.
Again.
just
going
you
back. You guys got it for free. You guys got it for free before. Now it won't be for free.
Just going back and forth between Juve and Man U. I think he would be a good fit. He played his best soccer here, and he went to Man U. And not that I've watched him that much, but based on what a lot of Man U fans have been saying and everything, he hasn't been so good with the Red Devils. So I think he maybe needs a change of scenario, and he's better than any Juve midfielder on the team right now, and it would be great to see him back.
Even Pjanic?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, he's better than Pjanic, I would say. I would agree with that.
I like Pjanic, but I think what Pjanic could do, Pogba could do better and more.
And I think he's even younger too, so it also helps. But going on to the Milan part of the question, what positions do Milan need to upgrade? I think I've probably said this God knows how many times, and I think Milan fans all over know. I still think it's definitely a midfield issue when you speak about Milan, and just they haven't had that core of midfield talent since the Pirlo, Gattuso days and stuff like that. So I still think they need to work around. Obviously, they found a quiet little gem in Benacer in that midfield. I think they can definitely build around that. Hopefully, even if Kessie gets steps up his game as well, because I still think he has a lot to prove and a lot to give. I think they can work together and maybe grab another midfield player and put him in that midfield to elevate. I also do think they need some attack. Obviously, like Dzeko, Ibrahimovic is not getting any younger. He's also already up there in age, and who knows if he's going to be there come next season. So definitely, somewhere in the striker department, I think does need some help, and maybe just the overall attack. And then lastly, I would probably say, finally, a real partner for Romagnoli, which I think he so desperately needs. Not to knock him in any way, but there's certain times where he can't do everything. I think he does need a reliable partner next to him that can elevate his game, and they can each elevate their own games. So I would say in those three departments that they would need some help in, but it all starts on the top. If they don't have stability from the top, like a house, you can't build the house without the foundation. So once you get that stuff ironed out, I think results and mentality will come back to this club.
So that will pretty much do it for us. I mean, we had 3 months.
So pumped.
Yeah. We had 3 months since the last game. Do you guys remember much about the first 3 quarters of the Serie A season?
I knew that it was pretty crappy for Napoli and Roma.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing. Milan too, Rasheen the bed.
you're just trying to put those bad memories behind you, right?
Yeah, that's it. I think maybe without the crowd pressure, maybe hopefully we'll do some do some good for these teams. But it's gonna be Calcio is back. It's gonna be different, obviously, with no fans and no cheering and everything like that. But like we've seen with the Bundesliga, I think if Serie A can hopefully play their cards right, I think it'll be a home run, and I think things will definitely work out for the best.
To refresh your memory, I took a clip from each of our three teams, and I'll play them. I'll play them right now.
Look at the space here for Fabian Ruiz. Wonderful, absolutely wonderful. This is Teo Hernandez, Ibrahimovic. There it is. On the first start of his second spell, Ibrahimovic once again the difference maker.
Dybala, touch there from Ramsey and Dybala. Oh, it's a thrilling goal from the substitute, Paulo Dybala. And Juventus now surely have the win.
That was Ruiz's goal against Brescia, Ibrahimovic's goal in his return to Milan, and then Juve's last goal before the break against Inter. Nothing else to say. We're excited. Here in Quebec, we could technically gather if we could get an outside TV and outside setup going. Maybe we could sit 2 meters apart. Might have to sit a bit more because we get very animated when we watch, right?
I'm gonna want to come and wring your neck or hug you. Who knows? You know what I mean? So, it would definitely be a spectacle if we got together in those circumstances.
Gianni, your task is to find the TV that we could put outside. Okay?
Get the one from the bank.
I'll try my best.
Excellent.
So that'll do it for us here on this week's episode.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much to everybody for the continuous support. Definitely follow us at the Calcio Guys on all social media platforms. So that's Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Catch our podcast on all podcasting platforms: Spotify, Spreaker, iTunes, Google Podcasts, all the good ones. And hopefully we'll be back sooner than 3 months. I think we'll be back maybe in the next couple of days, maybe next week. We'll have to see how we can iron things out. But definitely continue supporting, continue following, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening.
Ciao.
Bye.
The Calcio Guys is a weekly podcast by Adreano Donardo, Gianni Dellacoli, and myself, Nicholas Di Giovanni. We want to bring Calcio back to its roots in our communities and share stories from around the world about why we're passionate about the beautiful game. You can listen to us anywhere where you listen to your podcasts, including Spreaker, Google Podcasts, iTunes, Spotify, iHeart Radio, and Mixcloud. Give us your opinion on social media at The Calcio Guys on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. The outro song is The Last Ones by Jahzzar.